Okay, from Michael Savage's masterpiece, I call it a masterpiece, Trickle Up Poverty. Very important book for this age, believe me. I think you'll want to get a copy of yourself, because you can read it a lot faster than sitting through me reading it to you, but I think, hey, someone might be lazy, they just want to turn it on, click it on, and maybe they just sit back and listen to it, and I'll read it for them here. Okay, from J. Crew to Screw You. Okay. When Michelle Obama was on the campaign trail with her husband, the press fawned over her thrifty, budget-conscious attire. Much was written about her contentment with the J. Crew wardrobe and the fact that her husband Barack wore suits right off the rack, as if they were an average American couple watching every nickel to make ends meet. You know, the kind of frugal people just living paycheck to paycheck. We'd clean up who'd clean up the park in Washington. What's more, Michelle gave us the "I'm no different than you, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth" speech when she told a crowd on the campaign trail, quote, "There's a lot of people talking about elitism and all of that, but let me tell you who Barack and me are, so that you are not confused. Yeah, I went to Princeton and Harvard, but the lens through which I see the world is the lens that I grew up with. I am the product of a working class upbringing." That charade lasted maybe 5 minutes after Michelle's husband landed in the White House. Virtually overnight, as if she were suddenly royalty, Michelle was sporting a handmade Naeem Khan dress and a pair of bocce earrings valued at more than $5,000. $5,000 for earrings? My first car cost me less than that. And what does the Empress of America spend on the staff of 26 people, 26 personal assistants? The First Lady wasn't elected and has no official duties, and yet she certainly enjoys the trappings of royalty, or should I say, the life of a czarina. Let's set aside the cost of her full-time personal makeup artist and hairdresser. If she feels the need for some help in that department, fine. But let's look at the list of servants. There's Michelle's chief of staff, who at $172,200 a year makes more than some bank presidents. Add to that a director of policy and projects for the First Lady at $140,000, a director of communications at $102,000, a deputy chief of staff to the First Lady at $90,000, a director of press secretary to the First Lady who makes $84,000. Should I go on? How about $75,000 for a director of scheduling, $70,000 for a deputy director of policy and projects? Since when is the First Lady involved in making policy decisions? Another $65,000 for a deputy director, deputy social secretary. She's got 2 of them. $62,000 for someone to coordinate her events. $60,000 for a trip director. Again, she's got 2 of them, probably because she's planning lots of trips at your expense. And that's just a partial list. When taken together, Czarina Michelle's 26-person staff costs taxpayers $1.75 million, excluding the cost of their elite benefit package. You might wonder what benefit you're getting for that. But wait, there's more. There's much more. Thus, that figure doesn't include the necessary Secret Service detail or the White House staff of servants who must cater to her every whim, whether she's saving Wagyu steak valued at £100,000 at the White House cocktail party, or motoring around Paris in a 20 car caravan with her daughters for a weekend European vacation while visiting all the must-see sites. I imagine she's proud for the first time in her life to be an American citizen, a tourist. Look, I understand how things work. Laura Bush was no penny pincher either. She had a sizable staff as well, although not as large, and her tag was about 70,000 less than what Michelle is dropping. 700,000 less than what Michelle is dropping. But both are out of her line to spend taxpayer money to the extent, while the economy is in a tailspin. That's all. As one commentator pointed out, quote, Mary Lincoln had taken to task the purchasing China for the White House during the Civil War, and Mammy Eisenhower had to shell out the salary for her personal secretary. What's a fiscal restraint from our First Lady? Why aren't the Obamas leading the example? Whatever happened to President-elect Obama's call to Americans to make personal sacrifices? While on national television, Obama proclaimed, quote, everybody's going to have to give. Everybody's going to have some sun to distrust and fear the skin. Oh yeah. Yeah. Everybody's going to have some skin in the game. Remember that one? Or how about this? President Obama, having just tripled our national debt, had the audacity to say, quote, after a decade of profligacy, the American people are tired of politicians who talk the talk but don't walk the walk when it comes to fiscal responsibility. It's easy to get up in front of the cameras and rant and about exploding deficits. What's hard is getting deficits under control. But that's what we must do. We must do? We who? We, not he, obviously. Of course, this nice little teleprompted speech begs the difficult question. If the Splendor in Chief can't get the First Lady to pare down her bloated budget, how can the man be taken seriously when he claims he wants to cut wasteful government spending? What happened to walking the talk? What happened to walking the walk? He's lecturing us about fiscal responsibility while tripling the federal budget deficit and increasing our national debt by 1.9 trillion. 1.9 trillion. In fact, according to the economic editor of the United Kingdom Telegraph newspaper's Edmund Conway, quote, under the Obama administration's current fiscal plans, the national debt in the U.S. on a gross basis will climb to above 100 PC of GDP by 2015, a far steeper increase than almost any other country. But there's much more insidious dimensions to all of this. I'm talking about Michelle Obama's vision of the future, which, no doubt, has been shaped by the man she married, along with indoctrination of her leftist professors at Harvard and Princeton. As I'll document in the next chapter, Barack Obama is a red diaper-doper baby, RDDB, a full-fledged Marxist-Leninist. As such, he and Michelle are moving us toward a two-class society common in socialist nations, the ruling class and the workers. This explains why Michelle will never cut her staff of spending. As a newly arrived member of the ruling class, she believes she's entitled to it. Her extravagance and hypocrisy haven't gone unnoticed by the people. America is breaking under the weight of one of the deepest recessions in our history, and they wonder how Michelle can take a pleasure jaunt to the Eiffel Tower. How can she have the audacity to take a $1 million vacation when people all across America are losing their jobs and their homes. In the end, this too will backfire. The taxpayers don't like seeing their hand-earned money being wasted. The taxpayers don't consider themselves second class. The taxpayers don't like being lied to. The taxpayers don't want the First Lady who fashions herself as Tsarina. Next title is called This Land is His Land, and I'll read that next video.